heard somebody out in the lobby. Is that Adam or? Okay. All right, 5:30, this meeting of the Mayor and City Council, City of Frostburg is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing for just a moment, please.
Frostburg's blessing. We are thankful for this special community, for the time we share together, and the bounty of our nation. We are thankful for the commitment of our people who volunteer their time and talents to make our community a better place to live, work, and raise a family. We know that we alone cannot meet the challenges or provide sufficient inspiration without community involvement and the dedication of all concerned to the greater good of the city and all who reside in it. We are thankful for the beauty, the time, and the place that is Frostburg. Amen.
Have call the roll, please.
Commissioner Grove,
Here.
Commissioner Forsyth,
Here.
Commissioner Carter,
Here.
Mayor Logsdon,
Present.
and Commissioner Ritchie has indicated that he will be here as he is able.
So we are expecting Commissioner Ritchie later, but not at this moment. Moving on to item 5, approval of the agenda.
Move we approve the agenda?
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Is any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Agenda is approved. Item 6, approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the April Mayor and Council meeting. Further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes from April are approved. Moving on then to item 7, which is reports of the various city departments. Mrs. Jones.
Good evening. I have submitted the monthly budget report, tax report, and the balance sheet as the written reports for the Finance Department for the month of April as normal. I did want to point out that the budget report reflects several accounts, both revenue and expenses, which have significant variances of year-to-date activity compared to the budget projection as of the end of April. These variances will be addressed by resolution next month through proposed year-end budget amendments. This is a routine process that the city undertakes both mid-year and at year-end. Of note, during April, the city made its annual principal and interest payment on the CDA loan for the Municipal Center building in the amount of $105,248.80. This was a $2.8 million loan that is to be repaid over 30 years. The city also made its annual principal and interest payment on the Piney Dam loan in the amount of $395,892.15. This loan originated in 2012 in the amount of $5,222,000. This loan is paid for with the monthly water surcharge that customers see on their utility bill. There are only 3 remaining annual payments, principal payments due on this debt. A complete description of all the outstanding debt of the city can be found in Note 8 of the audited financial statements for the year ending June 30, 2024. That report is available on the city's website. The 4th annual report for the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA funds, was submitted by the city's project manager, Lydia Klar, during the month of April. The reporting period was from April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2025. As you recall, the city received about $8.3 million total in ARPA funding. For the 4th reporting year, the city reported around $2.6 million of expenditures. For all reporting years, the total expenses are around $6.8 million. All remaining obligated funds will be spent by December 31st, 2026. As we gear up for summer, the Finance Department has also been busy selling season pool passes and punch passes and handling the administrative task of onboarding over 30 seasonal employees for both the pool and the day camp. So we continue those preparations. I continue to encourage customers to sign up for e-billing for utilities and taxes. This is a convenient service, and it is a good way for customers to save city resources so we don't spend unnecessary money on supplies and postage. You can contact the finance department, or you can see the links on the city website for more information on e-billing. And finally, the Allegheny County tax sale will be held on May 29th, 2025. For complete information on the tax sale process, please consult the Allegheny County government website at alleghenygov.org. I'll conclude my report.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify the ARPA funding that we, all this stuff that we've already spent it on, that's on our website, right? There's a link to it on our website. So if people want to know what we spent it on, they can go there.
Yes, there's a very nice description of completed projects, as well as projects that have been approved but are not yet completed. So they can go under general government, and then they can see ARPA relief funds is the link, and the details of those projects are there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Ms. Fife.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I have prepared a brief highlight reel from our Community Development Report. 15 permits were issued in the month of April, mostly for small projects, driveways, fences, sheds, burning. We did issue 1 commercial use and occupancy permit and 1 residential use and occupancy permit. On the code enforcement side of things, 23 new code enforcement cases were opened in the month of April. 6 of those were for failure to license rental units. To date, 10 of those cases have been resolved. Citations were issued for 6 of those, and 2 have been resolved, but we have flagged them for continued monitoring. On the rental housing side of things, as of April 1st, all but 6 rental units in the city were licensed for the current year, and as I just stated, we did issue citations for those property owners. A couple of them were paid, but the remaining are going to be transmitted to court. And if they're not paid and brought into compliance by June 1st, then those units will unfortunately be noted as not to be occupied. The rental housing program revamp, we've been really working hard on that. So we finished the first draft of the rewrite, which I'll go into more detail here in a little bit when I speak about that resolution or that ordinance. The comprehensive plan rewrite is still underway. The community survey was reopened specifically for FSU students, and it's been getting really good participation. So we're very happy to hear that because student input on this process is key. So in the meantime, while that survey has been opened, our consultants have been conducting stakeholder interviews. Staff has not been involved in that process because we want to encourage authentic feedback. So once those interviews are complete, we'll be scheduling a steering committee meeting to go over all of the survey feedback and to participate in a SWOT analysis exercise with the steering committee members. The Edible Arboretum Steering Committee met with Amy Armstrong of ACA Design Group and CNS Landscaping to develop a plan for the next phase of plantings, which we received grant funding for through the Sustainable Maryland program. So I actually just got a call from Amy this morning, so things are wrapping up on her end, and we'll be seeing plants in the ground in the next couple weeks, so that's really exciting. One final note, we spent a lot of the month of April preparing for the Buy Nothing, Give Freely event, which was held last weekend. If the public wasn't able to attend, it was a really great event. We collected, I'd say, probably 10 times as much as we did the year before. And we had just about the same amount left over, so that was really wonderful. We've been spending the last couple days distributing leftovers to the Union Rescue Mission, Bruce Outreach Center to benefit the flood victims in the Georges Creek neighborhoods, Allegheny County Animal Shelter, and Highland Thrift Shop, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. So overwhelming success. We could not have done it without our volunteers who showed up in droves to help us. So just wanted to publicly thank everyone who has been involved in making this happen. So that would conclude my report.
I could not believe the amount of stuff that was in that building when
I couldn't either. We had a couple volunteers that looked around and they're like, I need to leave. There is too much stuff in this room.
Where do you even start?
It seemed
Yeah.
overwhelming, but with as many volunteers as we had, it really,
We did it, and somehow we got it cleaned up in 45 minutes. That was, I think, the part that blew my mind the most.
The crew from the Savage Mountain Punk Arts really helped a lot.
Yes, they did. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lindsay.
Yeah, so I'll take over for the public works side of things. We'll start with Parks and Recreation. The big thing going on with Parks and Recreation over the past month was Beautify the Burg, which went very well. It always does. Other than that, they have really gotten into grass cutting season and Parks and Recreation season. So their season is amping up, getting all the facilities opened up, cleaned, ready to go, and in use. In the water department, the big thing has been hydrant flushing. We did have one major leak on Main Street out front over the past 3 days. Other than that, the only other thing going on in the water department is we have started our, every 2 years we have a leak detection company come into the city, and we're on year number 2, and the leak detection company has come in. They started yesterday, and they plan to go for the rest of this week. If they don't finish the city by the end of this week, they will finish at the beginning of next week, and then they give us a leak report. That's our way of trying to find leaks that don't surface and making sure that we're not losing water anywhere. In the street department, the main thing has been asphalt and pothole patching. We try to get through that in the spring and early summer. That way we can prepare for paving heavy projects later on.
If I could just interrupt for 1 second on that, on the asphalt. Has anyone heard from State Highway about if or when they're going to patch the 5-acre pothole that's at the Broadway intersection?
Yeah, they're going to plan to do it presumably in the next month. It has to be night work, so
Okay.
they have to go through their permitting process.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Continue.
So paving, the actual city contractual paving project would take place towards the end of summer. And then the only other work within the street department has been street improvement and repair. So potholes, catch basins, manholes, trees that are getting too big over the road, etc. Within the sewage department, it has been pretty much business as usual. We did have one crushed sewer line that we tracked down to the bottom of State Street below Meshach Frost Village, and we had that repaired. Other than that, nothing too crazy. It is bulk pickup week, so in the garbage fund, that is usually our craziest week of the year, and it is ongoing. We are expecting a lot of rain tomorrow, but we will still proceed with bulk pickup. Now, in the instance that our neighbors need our assistance, we will presumably stop bulk pickup and go to help our neighbors down the way of the creek. But if that is the case, then we will just finish bulk pickup on Friday. In the engineering realm, we are obviously working through our CSO projects. Most of them have restarted for the summer, but we'll talk about in the CSO report. Other than that, it has just been preparing for the roundabout and then the next 2 large phases of the CSO jobs. And then some odds and ends. We have been lending our manpower and skills to some of the creek communities to help them out. So over the past week and a half, we've been helping them as well. That should be the full report. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, and the guys in those departments, the street department, public works, for being able to do that. I mean, I know they were anxious to. They wanted to help, but to be able to dedicate a couple of days worth of work to do that.
Yeah, pretty much every time I made a call, they picked up the phone and said yes willingly.
What is the status on the
vac truck?
the vac truck, the broken thing on the vac truck?
Yes, so we can still use the vac truck as a jetter, so we can unclog sewer lines with it. We can basically think of it as a very large pressure washer. But the transfer case that basically puts power to the vacuum needs to be rebuilt. So we took it actually up to Pittsburgh to get that rebuilt and replaced. So we're hoping it's back in the next week.
Do we still have the truck right now, though? So we just removed that and took it up there?
We just took that part off. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, sir. Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Good evening. I have the police report for the month of April 2025, and some of it will bleed over to May since we're more than halfway through the month. So in April, we had 709 incidents, and that's similar to April 2024. We had 580 incidents. I've talked a number of times about how sometimes those big picture numbers can vary. Throughout the month of April, we had 8 arrests of various sorts. We had 20 requests for well-being checks. We had 2 emergency petitions, 32 requests for a police officer, 24 documented follow-up activities, 28 disturbances of various sorts, 8 motor vehicle crashes, 1 DUI arrest, and 157 traffic stops. So, as always, our kind of general police function is pretty diverse, just kind of handling a variety of different incidents, some criminal in nature, some well-being and community caretaking in nature. I always emphasize our community policing and the efforts we make to be involved in our community and our activities. So we've had quite a handful since between April and now. We were at Career Day at Bell Elementary. Sergeant Beeman handled that for us. We had we participated in a small way in the Easter egg hunt at the Frostburg Armory. So I want to congratulate the Parks and Recreation Department and Brian on coordinating an excellent event. And Commissioner Grove and I were both in attendance there with our excellent Easter bunny. So we had a good time doing that, and thanks for having us. Toward the end of April, once again, organized by the Cumberland Police Department, they had the mock motor vehicle crash down at Mountain Ridge. Our officers went down there and participated in that. That's basically the weekend of the prom, essentially, kind of it's really, they have theater kids that act as though they were in a motor vehicle crash. The officers respond just like they would in real life. I mean, they have all the theatrics. It's really a very impactful thing. So I appreciate everybody who helped make that happen. Like the fire department gets involved. I mentioned the Cumberland Police Department. We get involved. It's really a neat thing. That same morning, we had Law Day at Allegheny College of Maryland. So we always try to keep a close relationship with Allegheny College's Criminal Justice Department. And we were set up down there with a number of police and correctional agencies. A few additional things. Officer Davis and I attended the open house of the new Frostburg Senior Center under the new management and that sort of thing. Very nice event. That was the other Friday evening. 2 officers, First Sergeant Curry, Officer Davis, and I were at Special Olympics last Saturday morning down at Mountain Ridge. That was a really nice event. They always invite the police department down to help carry the torch and kind of help present awards. So very nice time and beautiful weather for those Special Olympics athletes. And then lastly, almost lastly, just Saturday, Commissioner Grove and I were at the Frostburg Fire Department's fishing rodeo, and we had 2 or 3 officers work the Mountain Ridge graduation. So kind of try to hit highlights each month. Some are lighter than others. There have been a lot of good community activities, and I think it's so important to have the police department involved, to have representation from the city anywhere we can help with that. And for the police specifically, I'd love to see us involved in these events and representing. So that's all I have for my report. I'm glad to elaborate and answer questions. Otherwise, I appreciate your time.
I have one question, Chief.
Yes, sir.
I noticed under the collections heading of your report,
Yes.
for parking fines it says $690. Usually that number's like $60, $70. Why is it? I mean, I'm happy about it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Did we have a parking sting or?
We may have, to be honest with
Okay.
you. I have to take a look at the data. Generally, some of the data PCO Clark collects for me and
Okay.
puts it on there. So basically what I can do is I can look in the reporting system, go back and see how many tickets were written and when they were paid. So I do believe First Sergeant Curry did take some significant parking enforcement initiative over the last month or so. I have to
Okay.
confirm that, but I seem
Okay.
to remember a number of the vehicles, and I do think some were the downtown time limit parking issues, so
Okay.
I know he initiated some of that.
Good. Okay.
Off the cuff, and I'll confirm that for you certainly.
Thank you. Anything else for
I
Chief?
was wondering about that too.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you, Chief.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
all.
Okay. I believe that's all the city departments, so entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the monthly reports of the city departments.
Second. Duly moved and seconded to approve the reports of the various city departments. Any further discussion among council on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Reports are approved. All right, without objection from council, if there is no objection, we're going to go a little out of order, and I'm going to call on Senator McKay next to come give his post-session report.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for your grace. So, the last 90 days in the Maryland General Assembly has been very interesting. The 447th session has ended, and just like the last 13 years, we have created a list of every single bill that passed this year. We have recorded that, how the votes were and how I actually voted on every piece of legislation. Mayor and council, I firmly believe in transparency, just as you all do. And I give these reports throughout the district. I did it as a delegate. And so if anybody would like to know how we have voted in the last 13 years, you can find that at mikemckmd.com. But what I also have done is created a 90-day report. It's a book that I have for each and every one of you about how each and every vote went. It does have an end of session letter as well in it. One of the highlights of the book is that it has an Excel spreadsheet in it for each of the 3 counties that District 1 represents. It talks about the money that we were able to bring back from the state of Maryland. There's a little bit of a misnomer. People say, I send my taxes down to the state of Maryland, what do we get back? Well, this is a way to know exactly what you get back. The amount of money that comes to FSU's in here, a variety of things as well. In the Maryland General Assembly, there's a thing called local bond initiatives. Those are opportunities to bring back for the community to spend economic development in the particular district. The delegation works very, very well together. Look, I could list all of our problems with each other, but we also have lots of assets and we complement each other. And I'm very, very proud that District 1 as a whole brought over $6 million back to the local economy in miscellaneous grants and local bond initiatives and those type of things. That's also in this book as well. If anybody wants a copy of this book, it is on Amazon. Do not buy it. I repeat, do not buy it, because then I got to talk to ethics. But the reality is, if you would like a copy of the book, let me know, and I'll get you a copy of the book. I have one for each of you all, and of course you as well, sir. For the people in the audience, I have a condensed version of the 90-day report, and be glad to pass that out if it is okay with you, Mayor and
Yes,
Council.
sir, of course.
Answer any questions that you may have. Tomorrow will be the open book test. Everybody's coming tomorrow, right?
Correct.
I think I'm getting a fever, actually.
You get a fever?
Depends on the race.
The sick days at the school, you know how that is. There's that flu, it's pesky, it's just
Right.
going around.
That's right.
So thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to make the presentation. I am gonna dash. My kids are playing in the music concert. I have to figure out where. I just know it's on the calendar. So if I may approach.
Yes, sir, of course.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Good to see you, brother. Thank you, Miss Nina.
Thank you, Senator.
Brother.
Thanks, sir. Certainly, thank you, Senator, for the work that you do for us in Annapolis. I don't think that you'll be offended, because I've heard you say this yourself, that you certainly punch above your weight for us in Annapolis.
Since I weigh a lot, we get a lot.
Well, I set you up for that. Thank you, Senator. No, we certainly do. We're grateful for your work. All right. Back to the agenda then. We'll move on to item 8, which is various public hearings. We'll start with 8A, which is the regular CSO hearing.
Yeah, so at this point, we have 3 projects underway, Phase 8C, 9D, and 10A. That is North Grant, Center Extended, and the 10A near Mountain Ridge in the wetland area. The bulk of the work we have done has been on the North Grant, specifically around Lee Street. And then the Center Street work will start next week, once all the students are out of FSU. Those should both be complete around July at the latest. And then we will presumably finish 10A in the fall. The next large phases of the CSO, 10B and 10C, which is the grant to Nancy Grasmick, Mountain Ridge, between Maine and McCullough. Phases of the project are complete design. We have preliminary approval from MDE, and then we anticipate taking those projects to bid basically within the next month, getting our contractor, and then being able to do a groundbreaking for that project in the fall. There's a lot more MDE approvals of bidders and contracts, et cetera, before the work can actually start. But we should get a groundbreaking in this fall before winter shutdown. Then the bulk of those projects will take place in the summer of 2026. If there's any questions, I'm happy to elaborate.
Not that I can think of.
Run away.
Thanks.
So we'll consider that the required monthly CSO hearing. Moving on then to item 8B. This is the public hearing for ordinance 2025-01, which is the budget. Mrs. Jones.
Yes, thank you. Last month, ordinance 2025-01 was presented on first reading at the council meeting. This ordinance is the fiscal year 2026 operating budget, scheduled municipal fees, and allocations of hotel motel tax. This evening is advertised as the public hearing on this ordinance. So if there's any member of the public who would wish to come and make comment on this ordinance, we invite you to come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and share your comments.
All right, so this is open public comment period on ordinance 2025-01, which is the city's operating budget for the next year. Seeing none.
Okay, if there are no comments, that would close the public hearing for that ordinance. The next is ordinance 2025-02. This also was presented last month on first reading at the council meeting. This evening is the advertised public hearing. This is an ordinance to repeal and reenact with amendments sections of the city code pertaining to the city's leak adjustment policy. So if any member of the public wishes to comment on ordinance 2025-02, again, we welcome you to come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
This is the open public comment period for ordinance 2025-02. Seeing none.
That would close that public hearing. And the last public hearing is for ordinance 2025-03. This was presented last month on first reading. This is an ordinance to renumber and enact a new section of the city code for the purpose of establishing a tax credit for members of the Frostburg Fire Department Number 1. We invite the public at this time, if they wish to make comment on ordinance 2025-03, to come to the podium, state their name and address for the record.
Open public comment period for ordinance 2025-03. Seeing none.
Okay, that would then also close that public hearing. Thank you very much.
Okay. That's it then for all of our required public hearings under item 8. Moving on then to item 9, old business. We will call up again ordinance 2025-01.
So following the public hearing, I present for your consideration this evening ordinance 2025-01, the operating budget, scheduled municipal fees for fiscal year 2026. I would request a motion and a second to approve the ordinance on second reading and have another opportunity for public comment prior to a vote.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-01 on the second reading.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2025-01 on second reading and final passage. Any further discussion or comment among council? Any comment or discussion among the public? Okay. Seeing none, as many as are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ordinance 2025-01 is adopted.
Next, I have for you ordinance 2025-02, which would involve changes for the leak protection program and making those amendments to the city ordinance. So I would ask for a motion and a second to approve the ordinance on second reading.
I move we approve ordinance 2025-02.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2025-02 on second reading for final passage. Further discussion or comment among council?
As far as I recall, there is going to be a delay in the implementation, right?
So the effective date of the serve line policy would be August 1st, 2025. So we have informational material that will be mailed to each utility customer next month with their bill. All customers will then have the opportunity to opt out of the program. They opt out by contacting ServLine directly. There is a phone number on the brochure. If they do not opt out of the program, then they would begin seeing those charges on their bill in August. That is correct. In the meantime, the city's existing leak adjustment policy would continue to be available.
When do they get the notice then about the new policy?
The notices will be included in the June
June, okay.
utility bills.
So they have 2 months then too.
Yes.
Okay. And the charge, correct me if I'm wrong, is $1.70, is that right?
$1.70, and it's only available to single unit residential
So
customers.
non-commercial, not multi-units, just single-family dwellings, got it.
That
okay.
is correct.
Further discussion or comment among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Seeing none, as many as in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ordinance 2025-02 is adopted. Next, ordinance 2025-03.
So ordinance 2025-03 is the new real estate tax credit. It was the subject of a public hearing earlier this evening. So this evening, I would ask for you to make a motion and a second to approve the ordinance on second reading.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance 2025-03.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2025-03 on second reading for final passage. Further discussion or comment among council on that? Comment or discussion among members of the public? Hearing none, as many as in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. If the record could please reflect that I abstained from the vote on that. Ordinance 2025-03 is adopted. Okay, and that concludes it. Moving on then to new business. This will be the first reading of a new ordinance, 2025-04.
Hello again. Ordinance 2025-04 is to amend section 7-4 subsection F of the city code to clarify that the mayor and the council have final authority to approve and authorize commercial tax credits. This would not change anything about code. It just clarifies that the ultimate authority lies in the mayor and council. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on this. Otherwise, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve this ordinance on first reading and to set the June 17th, 2025 mayor and council meeting as the advertised public hearing.
So previously it was just left vague?
It was vague. The way it previously kind of read, it seemed like the authority was with the Director of Community Development and the Director of Finance. So the two of us will still serve as kind of a clearinghouse for these projects that are requesting the tax credit, but ultimately the mayor and council would need to approve by resolution any money that is, or any tax credit that is authorized.
Got it.
Sounds good.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-04 on first reading.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2025-04 on first reading and to set the public hearing date for June 17th. Further discussion or comment among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ordinance 2025-04 is approved on first reading. Ordinance 2025-05.
Yes, this ordinance, at your work session last week, we went over the proposed text amendments line by line. For the purposes of tonight's meeting, I've prepared a condensed version of all of the proposed changes just for the public benefit here. So we are proposing to update the rental housing ordinance to make several significant changes aimed at modernizing the administration of the program, the rental housing program, improving rental property compliance, and clarifying the responsibilities for property maintenance. So first, the ordinance now formally creates two defined roles, the rental housing officer and the rental housing inspector, and it gives clearer duties for those positions. This also gives the mayor and council the option to either opt to have an on-staff rental housing inspector or to contract with a third-party inspection company. Previously, all inspections were done by a third-party company, and this gives the council the option to do either one as you all see fit. Second, all registration and inspection processes are now going to be digital first. The paper, we've been doing everything on paper, and it's time to get with the modern era. So the online platform that we will be utilizing will support all rental housing applications, payments, inspection tracking, and email reminders, which we think will really assist in helping us achieve compliance. And it'll help us streamline our interactions between the city and our rental property owners. Third, the enforcement protocols are more structured. Timelines for inspections and re-inspections are clarified, and new limits are placed on extension requests. Units that fall out of compliance or fail to register will be clearly posted and they'll be deemed ineligible for occupancy. Fourth, we have expanded and clarified several of the definitions that are in, I believe, section 2 of the rental housing ordinance. We added terms like digital platform, vacant unit, and immediate family. And these are newly introduced to reflect the operational needs and to close up some loopholes that we've identified in the past. Fifth, the city will now be collecting all rental fees directly rather than going through that third party inspector. And it just replaces the former system where the inspectors collected the payment themselves. And lastly, although most of the property standards remain unchanged, this revised ordinance strengthens expectations surrounding smoke detectors, emergency egress, and owner and tenant responsibilities, and also reflects the Maryland Building Performance Standards. So in summary, all of the changes that we have proposed strengthens the enforcement, enhances the clarity and transparency of the program, and it transitions the program into a modern digital system that better serves the property owners, the tenants, and city staff. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Otherwise, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve this on first reading and to set the June 17th council meeting as the advertised public hearing.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-05.
Second. It's been duly moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2025-05 on first reading and set June 17th as the public hearing date for said ordinance. Any further discussion or comment among council?
Do landlords kind of get a heads up that this is coming down the pike?
Yes, we have communications that have already gone out, and we're continuing to keep folks updated.
Thanks.
Anything further among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ordinance 2025-05 is approved on first reading. Moving on then to resolutions. Resolution 2025-17.
Okay, Resolution 2025-17 is a request to reappoint Maureen Brewer to the Historic District Commission. Commissioner Brewer has served faithfully on that commission, and she has indicated the desire to be reappointed for another term if the council so chooses. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, I would ask for a motion in a second to approve Resolution 2025-17.
She's a good one.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-17.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-17. Further comment or discussion among council on that? Comment or discussion among the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-17 is approved. Next is resolution 18.
Okay. Resolution 2025-18 is a request for the council to authorize community development staff to submit this annual report for calendar year 2024 to the Maryland Department of Planning. This is a report that we submit to MDP every year. We report the number of new housing or single-family housing units that were created in the city of Frostburg. There were 8 single-family home permits issued. And then we just report some planning and growth challenges that we might have. We did note the temporary water service extension to Lonaconing due to their water treatment plant being offline during the reporting period. And we also indicated that we've identified a couple planning areas that we'd like to focus on moving forward. That is water and sewer capacity, revitalization and infill, bike and pedestrian planning, and commercial redevelopment. So those are the areas that the Planning Commission has identified as worthy of further exploration in calendar year 2025. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have in regard to the MDP annual report. Otherwise, I would ask for a motion in a second to approve Resolution 2025-18.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-18.
Second. Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-18. Any comment or discussion among council? You said that there were 8 permits issued for new home construction in the city.
That's correct.
Would you happen to, and it's fine if not, but would you happen to know how many were issued in the county, like outside of the city limits?
Oh, I don't know.
That's fine, that's fine. It's not really relevant, I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm not
That's fine,
100%
that's
sure.
fine.
I don't even want to guess.
Okay, that's fine.
Do these recommendations that you're gonna focus on, like the water and sewer capacity, those came out of the survey that the planning commission put forth, or is it just something that you identified in-house?
Those were just items that the planning commissioners identified, and Commissioner Ritchie, if you have anything to add on that, or how the commissioners came to that.
I mean, they all have a lot of conversation at the meetings about
Yeah.
these things, you know, and they kind of, you know, a lot of very smart people on that board, you know, that make really good decisions about things, yeah.
Okay.
So.
If you had to prioritize, what would you say is their number one most pressing need, or the thing they're most concerned about?
Oh my. I think all of them equally. I know that water and sewer capacity is definitely top of mind, considering the situation that
They're
we've
sort of
been in.
intertwined.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything kind of is intertwined.
They talk about expanding Frostburg a lot too, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you very much.
Any further comment or discussion on that? Comment or discussion among the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-18 is approved. Next is Resolution 19. Chief Costello, looks like you're the liaison for that.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. The city has received a routine request from the Frostburg Elks to waive the open container ban temporarily for Frostburg Elks Derby Day. There have been no problems really no problems to report on that, no concerns at all. Because I am an officer in the Elks, my wife's an officer, we're pretty involved. I'd like to defer to this acting administrators or perhaps Commissioner Grove for the recommendation, but I can certainly factually report I've worked every Derby Day the last several years and have no concerns.
Any comment or anything?
Ask for a motion?
Over the years, it's always worked out well. In the ordinance, or in the resolution, there are no glass bottles allowed. It's all plastic cups and things like that.
Cans.
Draft
So we-
beer cans. stuff
Yeah,
like
and beer cans. We've had really no problems at all with this.
No fights either.
that. No, they go inside to do that. Would you care to make that in form of a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 2025-19.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-19. Further comment or discussion among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-19 is approved. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you
Certainly
all.
appreciate it. Resolution 2025-20, Mr. Lindsay.
Yes, so this would be the approval of the demolition contract with Briarside Contracting for the demolition of 84 through 88 East Main Street, also known as the Appetit Building. We did go through a fairly substantial engineering and bidding process. Their bid was the low bid at $114,000 for the demo, with them also absorbing the cost of trucking the non-suitable fill material to the landfill. If there are any questions, I'm happy to elaborate.
A long-awaited demo,
Yeah.
which we are planning on having completed before Derby Day.
Correct.
Probably would be, if we move in second, then we can talk a little bit about it.
Sorry.
I'll make
No,
a
it's okay.
motion to approve Resolution 2025-20.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-20. Is there comment or discussion among council? So just to clarify, because I know it was in the newspaper the other day, and I know there's been some discussion about it. Did we go through the proper process for soliciting bids?
Correct, yes. So we had to go through an expedited bid process, given the status of the building. After deeming the building structurally unsafe, we went through an expedited bid process, but we did collect 3 bids from 3 separate contractors where we all met on site, walked through the building. So everyone had an idea of the situation and then collected bids from them
separately. So the bid process we have followed.
Were the owners of the property involved in this process?
Yes. Yes.
Were their opinions and needs and suggestions solicited and taken care of to the degree that we can do that?
Yes.
Has the Historic Commission signed off on it?
Yes.
Did they have any specific comments or concerns or anything that we felt needed to address?
The Historic District Commission was adamant about taking as many pictures of the existing building as possible and then trying to pay some kind of homage to the building once it is on the ground, and whatever the long-term product might be, they would just like to see do courtesy paid to the building, whether that is a plaque or a sign or taking some piece from the existing building and reusing it in whatever the long-term product is.
In your professional opinion, is there any feasible way that the building can possibly be saved?
No.
Anything else among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Mr. Miltenberger.
My question is, when we, down at City Common, when they took down the monastery at St. Paul, which we were actually trying to stop, they left a pretty big size hole, you know, and since this is integral with Derby Day and Main Street, what kind of landscaping, what kind of park outlet or something is going to be there until maybe there's another build? I don't know. But, I mean, we just don't want it to look.
That's an excellent question, and I had forgotten to address that, Mr. Lindsay.
Yes, so in the immediacy, given that the building will come down and then Derby Day will presumably be right afterward, it will be screened from Main Street, basically right at the sidewalk, in the border between the sidewalk and the property, with a 6.5 foot tall privacy fence, just screening it. The long-term plan has still yet to be decided, but once that's done with the owners, then the homage to the existing building will be paid, and there will be something there. But in the immediacy, there will be screening on Main Street.
The goal is to get the sidewalk open as soon as possible. Our target is July 4th. Obviously, if it happens before that, that's great. But the goal is to get the sidewalk open as soon as possible, and then in order to do that, the building the demolition has to be done to the degree that it can be fenced off.
So the sensitivity is there's still a business center that owns the property.
That's correct.
Okay. So have you discussed with him about any of his future plans on
At great length.
Yes, they have been intimately involved throughout the entire process. Yep.
Well, I'd like to see it not look like an eyesore.
I agree. Completely.
They feel similarly.
There's a hand over here, I believe. Mr. Godlove.
You said that bid was the whole unusable fill, but there's plans still to put some fill back here.
Correct. Yeah, within reason.
Certainly, they're going to fill in the foundation with as much as they can, and then whatever's left, masonry that's left.
Yeah, we're open to, if you guys make your agreement on the side for some of the fill. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Further comment or discussion among the public on this ordinance, or on this resolution, excuse me. Yay! Yes. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-20 is approved. This is related to that, Resolution 2025-21.
Yes, so the next one, at 2025-21, is the actual agreement with the owners of the property. So the way this would work is that the city takes on the cost of demo, and however much that might be, so that's the $114,000 from Brierside, plus the costs of landfilling all the non-suitable material, and what the total dollar value of that demolition, we would go into a commercial loan agreement with the owners for that total dollar value at an interest rate equal to the amount that the city is making on our money market account. So it's a 15-year commercial loan with the owners of the property at a 4.75% interest rate. So we are not making money off of them, but we are also not losing money on the loan. So it's a break even for the city of Frostburg. We handle all of demo. We handle the contractor through demo. And then once it's on the ground, the owners of the property still own the property, and then they go into a payment plan with us, paying us back. They have also agreed, in the agreement, I want to make it clear that they have not signed off on this agreement yet, but in this agreement, the plan is to subdivide the property, and the city of Frostburg would get the front footage of that property for the sake of screening and a potential parklet down the road. I do want to say for the record, I was misquoted in the newspaper. The grant funding would potentially be for a parklet/screening, not a parking lot. That was a misquote in the paper. The grant funding would be for potential parklet and screening. But like I said, 15-year commercial loan, 4.75% interest rate. The total dollar value of the loan is $143,000, 114 of that being Briarside demolition costs. The other $29,000 is what we accounted for in approximate landfill fees. If it ends up being less than that, then there are items in the agreement to where the owners do not have to pay that extra amount that we don't incur. Am I missing anything, Todd?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify, this has not been signed off on yet. This ordinance is for the sake of approving the mayor and council to go into the agreement. And then once it's agreed upon by both parties, then we would sign off on it. If not, if there are no other questions, I would ask for a motion in a second on resolution 2025-21.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025-21.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-21. Any further comment or discussion among council?
I just want to emphasize also that the quote, this is actually for the previous resolution, the quote for the demolition is a lot lower than we were expecting. And especially since it also includes trucking, which we were not counting on.
Right.
So it's a good deal.
Correct. I felt very similarly.
I'd like to say also, and I don't presume to speak typically for the other folks at this table, but I think in this case I certainly can. There's not one person in city government or in this room or in town that is happy to see this building with the history and everything gone. I mean, we are all sad that this is what it's come to, but it's at the point now that it's a safety hazard and it's just not possible. So this is the least bad solution, I think.
Correct.
Further comment or discussion among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-21 is approved. Thank you. Resolution 22.
Resolution 2025-22 is the authorization of a letter of intent for the Center Street Development Lot Project. That is with the Allegheny Group. We have gone through a lot of meetings with them. This all dates back to 2019 and 2020, where we reached out to different developers and asked them for kind of a proposal for a project to redevelop Center Street. It is kind of a three individual project between Frostburg State University, City of Frostburg, and the developer. But this is just for the letter of intent for that developer to basically get some assurances from the City of Frostburg that we won't sell the land out from under them in the event that they start developing the land there. Nothing too crazy. It's not necessarily a binding agreement, but it is assuring them that we will not sell out from under them so that they can go to their investors, seek funding, and get their project moving. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to elaborate.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-22.
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-22. Any comment or discussion among council? This is the same group that gave the presentation to us about a month ago.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, they gave another presentation also to.
Yes, they met with Public Works Commission?
Planning.
Planning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it seems like they're really,
They're very motivated,
yeah.
Yeah.
extremely.
It's very,
They met with myself and FSU yesterday, actually. So yeah, talk about parking.
Good.
And if everything goes forth as planned, they're going to be doing it this summer.
Yep.
yeah, it's very, very good looking project.
Yeah.
It is.
Further comment or discussion among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-22 is approved. Resolution 2025-23, Mrs. Jones.
So I present for your consideration, excuse me, Resolution 2025-23, which would establish minimum service requirements to qualify for retiree health insurance benefits. Currently, the city personnel policy allows full-time employees who retire directly from city service to qualify for health insurance benefits through the city's plan as long as they retire at age 60 or above and they are not yet eligible for Medicare. The city desires to establish a minimum 10-year service requirement and that is continuous full-time service retiring directly from the city to continue to qualify for the retiree insurance benefits. This will help clarify eligibility, support effective budgeting, and ensure the responsible use of city resources in anticipation of upcoming insurance open enrollment and future liabilities. This would not affect any employees who are already retired and taking advantage of this benefit. So if someone had retired with less than 10 years of continuous service and on the insurance plan, they could continue to be so.
Grandfathered in.
Yes, but it would affect future eligibility.
Got it.
So I would ask for a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2025-23.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-23.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-23. Any further comment or discussion among council on that? Discussion or comment among members of the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-23 is approved. And last one on this section is Resolution 2025-24.
Yes, Resolution 2025-24 is related to the city's annual audit requirement. The city is required to have an audit each fiscal year, and the city issued a request for proposals from qualified firms to provide these services. The city received one proposal in response to the RFP. This was submitted by SB & Company, LLC. We have reviewed the firm's technical and cost proposals. We've determined that they are both responsive, responsible, and very well qualified based on their relevant experience. And we would like to have authority to enter into a 3-year contract with SB & Company based on the cost proposal that they have provided to the city. So this resolution would authorize the city administrator to execute all necessary documents to move forward with them as the city's auditor for the next 3 years. So I'd request a motion and a second for Resolution 2025-24.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025-24.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-24. Any further discussion or comment among council?
So this is the only response you got to the RFP, because like nobody's doing these municipal audits anymore, really.
That is correct. They were the only one who provided a response, although they have come recommended. I feel very confident in proposing them, to the mayor and council.
The price is a lot lower.
Yeah,
too,
that's what I
right?
was just going to say.
Yeah.
Yes, as a larger firm who does much more auditing, there's cost efficiencies compared to, we've had a wonderful relationship with Huber Michaels for many years, but they're a small firm, limited number of audit clients. And so that's why they have moved out of the audit arena. So.
Got it. Further comment or discussion? Discussion or comment among the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-24 is approved. Thank you. All right, we move now into open public comment. Before we do that, I want to make 2 quick announcements, and then we'll start into public comment. First, I'd like to announce that as of Friday, Mayor and Council have agreed and hired, and it's been accepted that we have a new city administrator. So I'd like to introduce everyone to Mr. Patrick O'Brien, who is our new city administrator. Patrick, if you'd like to come up for just a second, maybe introduce yourself, talk about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Patrick O'Brien. I'm currently serving as the Director of Civic Engagement at Frostburg State, and we'll be starting with the city on June 16th as the City Administrator. I came to Frostburg 23 years ago as a student, fell in love with the town and decided not to leave. So I'm looking forward to getting started. I'm very excited to be a part of the city. Thank you.
Thank you very
Any
much.
questions? Cool.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
so much.
Okay. All right. And the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, because this is also Mrs. Elaine Jones's last meeting as our Director of Finance. She'll be departing on June 13th, right? Friday the 13th, go figure.
We
So,
will miss you.
We would certainly like to thank Elaine for her many years of work that she's put in here at the city, and her big, big brain that we're going to miss that also. So,
Thank you.
Thanks.
yes, thank you for everything you've done. All right, moving on then to open public comments. This is a time period for Frostburg citizens or anyone else to come forward and make comments. Mr. Godlove, if you could.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. I'd like to take a moment here to introduce myself and tell you why I'm here. My name is Rich Godlove. I live on 419 Timber Ridge Drive. I've been in law enforcement for 32 years. My career began when I was 20 years old with Juvenile Services. I went on to serve as a Cumberland City police officer from 1994 to 2000. During that time, I held various positions from assistant team leader on the emergency response team, patrol officer, drug and addiction officer, and DWI officer. In year 2000, myself and 3 other Cumberland police officers left the Cumberland Police Department due to no retirement system. We joined the Department of Justice Federal Bureau of Prisons at that time. I worked there for 22 years, and in 2022, I was recruited to join the Allegheny County Public School Special Police Force, where I currently work. So as you can see, I have a very diverse background in law enforcement. During the same time, I've been a local business owner for over 25 years. I was a chief security officer for internal affairs from 2001 to 2009, handling all security efforts for Frostburg State University and Allegheny College of Maryland. In 2009, I sold that company. For the last 13 years, I've also been the owner of Zenshi, now known as Shogun, on Main Street, which has become a well-known, trusted staple restaurant in the Frostburg community. I've raised my family here, I've built a life here, and I understand what this community truly needs because I live it every single day. Today, I'm officially announced that I've filed to run for sheriff of Allegheny County in the 2026 election. As sheriff, I plan to lead with accountability, efficiency, and transparency. Public trust isn't inherited and should not be simply passed down to the next in line that's earned. The city, this county, deserves a department that shows up, listens, and delivers. It deserves leadership that is rooted in the community it serves, as I am here today. Let me be clear, I have great respect for Sheriff Robertson and his years of service. But this election isn't about honoring the past, it's about securing our future. Like public trust, leadership is not inherited, it's earned. Simply passing the title of sheriff down to the next in line breeds complacency. And in law enforcement, we know complacency is dangerous. It leads to missed opportunities, outdated practices, and failure to adapt to the challenges our community faces every day. It's time for fresh ideas, real accountability, and bold leadership that puts public safety first. From day one, I already have a plan to increase deputy coverage, raise wages, and retain good deputies on the streets and in the detention centers, all within the current existing budget. I'll apply the same fiscal responsibility and efficiency that I've practiced as a business owner. I know how to manage budgets, motivate teams, and deliver real results. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Lindsay, I believe you already witnessed that kind of leadership. Just recently, I led the state of Maryland's first school reunification efforts in over 3 years, right here at Mountain Ridge High School. In a moment of crisis, I coordinated with local law enforcement, school officials, city leaders, and volunteers to keep our children safe and our families informed. That's the kind of leadership this community deserves, not just in emergencies, but in every day. I have a detailed plan with numerous changes that are absolutely necessary to make the sheriff's office and the detention center accountable, efficient, and transparent. But now is not the time to release those specifics. Real leadership isn't about negotiating plans before you're in a position to act. It's about standing on your principles and being ready to lead from day one. And that's exactly what I intend to do. However, there's something I can promise you now. I will stop the ongoing recruitment war between Frostburg Police Department and the Sheriff's Office. It's drained resources, damaged morale, and leave the city short-staffed. We need partnerships, not competition. I will make that happen along with coordinating efforts extensively with Chief Costello to work together to foster a stronger relationship for our city. This election isn't about politics. It's about public safety, trust, and leadership. It's about breaking away from the remnants of any good old boy system that have held us back. Our community deserves better than status quo and business as usual. It's time for accountability, fresh leadership, and a clear focus on what truly matters, and that's keeping our neighborhood safe. In closing, you'll see the difference in every neighborhood, every school, and every patrol shift day one. I'm ready to lead, and I'm asking for our leaders and community support in 2026. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Godlove.
What's your name again, please?
Mr. Miltenberger?
Rich Godlove.
Rich Godlove.
Sir, if you'd like, if you could come up, state your name and address for the record, please, and then.
My name is Mark Minola. My address is 49 LaVale Boulevard. I'm a local dentist. I've been in the community for I came in '98 and moved from Cumberland to LaVale, and I'm practicing LaVale now. and I'm here to support the possibility of removal of fluoride. By the way, I'm really impressed by this. The setup and how you guys articulate, it's amazing. It's educational for me to be here. So I just was thinking about fluoridation again in different light now that I'm a holistic dentist, and you might understand what I mean, but I have an ad on the radio station. I take out mercury fillings because they're 50% mercury, so we call them mercury fillings. And I got into a rabbit hole of learning about how the body works. I was a physiology major. While I was in dental school, I was working my master's in physiology, so I really like how biochemistry and physiology work. And Bernie's going to talk about some neurochemistry, and that's kind of what the crux of the matter is with fluoride now, because there's enough evidence to show that even if it was safe and effective in our bodies, at the levels we get it now, it's just too much for a developing brain, a fetus. And so I was on the other side of it, and I also was duped a little bit by the ADA, and I'm an ADA member still. But the point that I would say is some of these organizations are maybe not, it's not in their best interest to look at new information. So I really like the local idea of trying to fix something locally because it's closest to home, and your people are here. And we can make decisions instead of getting top down, which I feel like, I'm not going to get political, but there are many letter organizations that have failed us in a lot of different ways. And I feel like if we can look at the data or look at people that have been looking at it. So there's been a 7-year lawsuit that was just finished up in California. And, some of you gentlemen are lawyers probably, but when you litigate something that long, if it wasn't thrown out, and all the data's in, and however you articulate that. I mean, his conclusion was that it shouldn't be in the water anymore, based on the fact that you really can't titrate the level that we think it should be for safety. So, in terms of like the dose on a baby and an infant, it's really crazy how quickly it becomes like difficult to deny that there's a toxic level at the neurological level. I mean, it's an enzyme disruptor, it's an endocrine disruptor. It does so many things that could go on and on. But the point is, if we can look at it from a cost-benefit analysis, so if you look at a statin, I mean, this is another sort of situation where the data comes in and the data is constructed in a way that shows that it might be beneficial. So really 1 in 100 people that are taking a statin might benefit. But there's an agenda pushed, and so everyone has an agenda, and you just follow some of the money. Sometimes that's what happens. But anyway, long story short, the judge settled this and made recommendations to, Bernie could talk probably about the specific doses in the water, but just, reading through his letter that he has, one of the things is that we don't know what happens with synergy with other metals and like aluminum and other things that are in our environment. So and people who handle the water around here will understand this from the standpoint of acidity I said synergy, which I meant to say, but now I'm saying acidity. But the way the water is and what minerals are in the water and lead, and so there's a really bad thing with lead and mercury. So if you gave a lethal dose of lead to 100 mice, everyone would die. Or if you gave a certain dose, one would die. And the same thing with mercury. But if you combine them, they all die. So it's the synergy we don't understand. There's all the terrain of our bodies that are in different disarray from different things. I mean, people know about BPA. Someone I know close to my family, boy started to develop breasts because he was eating out of tomato sauce out of a certain can, and they coat the plastic in the can. So anyway, I could talk about toxicities all day long. I mean, I take out mercury fillings all the time, and they affect people in different ways. But fluoride sort of was not on my radar when I was a dentist, when I was starting out here, and I pounded the pavement in Cumberland. When the votes were cast, it was really only 10% difference. So we presented it at the Cumberland, you know, and they didn't really want to make that decision. But you can look at it for monetary benefit, and you can look at it from a different number of benefits. But I would like to share the best thing to do is look at a large group of people, you know, in a population. And when they looked at countries that were not fluoridating versus countries that were fluoridated, nothing really changed. So from the 70s down to 2010, everything just declined no matter what, you know, if there was fluoridation or not fluoridation. But I guess I would say to sum up, I mean, my heart's in, if you want to know, I take care of a lot of pediatric kids. I mean, I'm not the health department, but you know, in the health department, they're using fluoride directly on the teeth, and that's probably what I would agree with if the parents chose it. And so I feel like, you know, it's not a communist plot to have fluoride. It's this thing that we thought worked, and now we know probably doesn't work the way we thought. So, you know, they sprayed DDT in the air, and there were doctors saying lobotomies were good. You know, there was a side that said that. So we have to correct, and sometimes it takes too long in large institutions like the FDA, EPA, and I don't know why. It's just a cog. It takes a long time. You know, you could say things happen quickly here because it's only you individuals, but I don't know why it's still there when there's so many studies over the years showing all this. And I don't know who's failing us, but I feel like voicing my opinion about it. But there's really it's really fighting the soda and the oral hygiene issues, as well as nutrition, which is horrible. You know, with the food, the way it's been created by man, it's really inadequate in terms of whole, like, nutrient density. So I study nutrient density because I'm a Weston Price dentist fan club. And, you know, the whole foods we hear about, you know, carnivore stuff people are talking about, they're getting the fat-soluble vitamins that are missing. Like vitamin K2, well, A, E, K2, D3 are all in fat. And then the doctors say to avoid fat for your heart, which is another myth paid for by the sugar industry to throw cholesterol under the bus, you know, and it was paid for like $50,000, you know, 75 years ago. So, you know, I'm reading 2 articles. One was in 2015 about ADHD. It's another issue, and that's a neurological thing. And, you know, the first paper concluded it was probably a problem for ADHD, fluoride. And then 2023, you see they flip it, and they say, well, you can't draw a conclusion. So then you start looking at where the money goes into research, and you start looking at the groups, and you say, well, there's no conflict of interest, but is there? That's what you have to question everything now. You know, so I'd like to conclude as far as this, you know, stannous fluoride, which is a chemical that you may protect, maybe, you know, if you believe that's a medical grade situation, and the things that we're putting in the water are not medical grade. You probably know that. I think that's all I wanted to say. But like a good example of a government decision that was made, it was the food dyes, because enough moms got upset with the Fruit Loops being bad or being different than Europe, you know. And anyway, that decision was made that these cancer-causing chemicals, but they don't have to get them out until 27. So I just think that if you could decide to get it out of the water, it's already happening statewide. It's like 8 states that are now, you know, saying no. There was a bolus of fluoride that killed some people in Salt Lake City. And so they were the first ones that got it out of the water because of that accident. But I think that the public health should be focusing on prevention. And, you know, when Coca-Cola pays for a sign, it's like hard to say don't drink Coca-Cola, you know, but now we're learning about high fructose corn syrup might have mercury in it. And anyway, it's all being flipped around now. We're going through a big kind of crazy time. So I just look at the truth, and I try to tease out the truth and not be I don't want to be political. I'm an ADA member, like I said, but I don't think they're on the right track with this. It's not working anymore. So thanks for letting me talk that long.
Thank you, Dr. We certainly appreciate it. Mr. Miltenberger.
First of all, Bernard Miltenberger, 294 East Main Street, Frostburg. Before I get started on the fluoride stuff, I want to say I'm really impressed with your new sign at the fire department. It's real nice. I mean, I get updates on what was going on with the flood minute by minute. That was so excellent. Anyhow, and Elaine, you've been an excellent accountant here, and we're going to miss you. So good luck on what you're doing in the future. Early on, back in November, when I first approached you guys, because I knew we won the suit, I didn't want to overwhelm you with neurotoxicity stuff, because my good friend is Dr. Russell Blaylock, and I also know Dr. Phyllis Molinax. Not like I know Dr. Blaylock, but I do know her, and I've met her a couple times. But these are the pioneers in the drive to really highlight the neurotoxicity. And there's other issues. I mean, there's cancer and what have you. And so when I told you that if RFK got appointed, that he would be pushing for not only for the food dyes and the other chemicals that we have in our food, but Europeans don't. And he basically got the FDA to say, look, we're no longer recommending that the food manufacturers carry these chemicals, okay? At that point, the liability shield of those manufacturers go down, and they are scrambling now to come up with alternative, ways of doing things, probably very much similar to what the Europeans have done. So things are cleaned up. And that's the legal standard of what's going on. Now, we've got it out of Utah. We've got DeSantis has passed it out of Florida, okay? Because there was a lot of cities that were taking it out. Miami-Dade was really close to getting it out. So Houston's already taken out, but they kept it quiet. They kept it quiet for 4 years. We didn't even know. They took it out, okay? There is Madison, Alabama, which is very good, and I want to stress this. They're taking it out on June the 13th, so it's coming out this month. And their utility department actually fessed up. They said, we are so happy it's coming out because it's creating infrastructural issues and structural issues because it's so caustic and toxic. And so they're realizing that it's an issue. Cumberland, is constantly having issues with their older pipes bursting. Part of this is because they don't have the 50,000 population. Part of it is older pipes, but also part of it is because the fluoride, the hydrofluorosilicic acid that they're putting in is corroding the pipes. So that is another reason why you folks, it's an infrastructure thing that can save you money over the long run. When you first put fluoride in here, in our apartments next door, we had old heaters, hot water tank heaters. They were dated 1964. They're old as me, okay? Within 18 months, we had to replace all 3 of them. So that's how quick. And we have soft water. So when he talks about the synergistic effects of the toxicity of different metals and fluoride, when you have soft water, then you are absorbing that in more, okay, than if you have a harder, or like a calcium magnesium, because the calcium magnesium will buffer that effect. So so we, that's something to be considered. And I think, Mayor, I sent you a copy because Dr. Blaylock emailed this to me.
You did.
Okay, and I want to just have this on record. And I don't want to go. I'd love to read it because I love the man, but I'm not going to do that and bore you guys. But you could put that on the public record.
Sure.
But basically, what he's basically saying is that there's 3 things that are causing the neurotoxicity. One is the combination of aluminum and fluoride together. It's a lot of times you use aluminum sulfate as a clarify the water. And those 2 together create a neurotoxic effect. The second thing is fluoride replaces iodine in the thyroid. And when you suppress the thyroid, you also are suppressing IQ, okay? And the last thing that a lot of people don't really know about because they're not as well versed as Dr. Blaylock, has a whole issue of neurotoxicity and that issue with autism or ADHD. So immunoneurotoxicity, he calls it immunoexcitotoxicity. What that does is you get a priming of whether it's, too many vaccines or if it's something to do with fluoride, you get a priming of the microglial cells. And they are the protectors, that's sort of part of the immune system, and that creates a cytokine storm. So if you have constant exposure ongoing over time, that is causing a neurological effect. So there's 3 parts to this that creates this neurological effect. And of course, then there's other issues like cancer and hip fracture and dental fluorosis and skeletal fluorosis and like basically the building blocks of life are hydrogen bonds and enzymes. Well, fluoride inhibits both of them. Okay, so if you get talking about biochemistry or physiology, you're basically inhibiting the basic building blocks of life. You're also interfering with the mitochondria and what have you. So there's a lot of reasons, to take this serious. And there's been a lot of mayor and councils that have grappled with this issue. I would love to see Frostburg, as sophisticated as you are, to be one of the first mayor and council since this lawsuit has passed in our favor and back in September, to consider taking it out in the state of Maryland. And you would hopefully cause a domino effect where then we can go to Cumberland and a few others. Now, Middletown, Maryland has taken that within the last 4 years. Okay. So we're that there. So, and the other thing is some of these dentists will say to you, they will still say, well, y'all, if you take it out, we're going to have a massive amount of tooth decay. Well, that's not true. And the new science is nano-epoxyapatite that actually remineralizes what they were claiming the fluoride was going to do. I'll give you some of these. This is the gum, and then this is the toothpaste. You can have these. But that is the nano-epoxyapatite, and what Doc will say to you is you add some K2 with it, because K2 allows the absorption also to go into your bones or into your teeth or enamel. They're excellent products for the future. So we're not robbing the public at all by just saying taking this out. So it's a win-win, not only for your infrastructure, but it's a win-win for the public and the IQ of the children in the future. And I hope that you strongly will consider that. And I would certainly like to work with you. If there's any things you have concerns or questions on, please let me know. And I want to thank Dr. Donola. He's one of these gentlemen that has educated himself and constantly educated himself like my father. My father was in the he was in the prestigious College of Surgeons, and he constantly had to update his skills and his teachings, and Mark does the same thing. Mark is constantly going to conferences, and he's with a couple different organizations, associations, and so my hat's off to him, because he understands the nutrition side as well, so.
How affordable are these?
Well, the Davids, you can get on Amazon for $11.
$11?
$11. And then the gum is a little bit more expensive, but as it hits the market and they're becoming, just go on the internet. Once you start into that algorithm, then all they'll pop up, you know what I mean? But yeah, they're not all that expensive.
Well, compared
They're
to
actually sort of
toothpaste,
comparable.
they are.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, I mean, I've been using myself, and my teeth are just, my teeth have improved a lot, So it's really a good way to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right. Anything else, general public comment or discussion, anything we need to talk about? All right. Go down the row here. Commissioner Grove.
No, good.
Commissioner Forsyth. Commissioner Carter.
Good.
Commissioner Ritchie. Good. 3 quick things, promise, very quick, because I want to go home too. First, just thank you to everybody in the city and the outlying areas of the city, general Frostburg community, for stepping up and doing what you did the last week to help our neighbors down the creek. Frostburg was pretty much the only part of Allegheny County that was not seriously impacted by the flooding event last week. And from the minute the heavy rain started, I started getting phone calls. Hayden, Lydia everyone's getting phone calls. What can we do to help? What can we do? So people that donated stuff, people that made trips down there with tools and shovels and spent days and days digging stuff out and helping. We sent most of our city staff down there. They worked their you-know-whats off. And so did everybody in town. And I'm extremely proud to say that we are the folks that lead this town, this great, generous town of people, for everything that you did. So thanks. Related to that, kind of, we were notified earlier today by County DES to expect more heavy rain tonight. So if you have stuff out for bulk trash pickup, maybe straighten it up, make it nice and neat. If you haven't put anything out yet, maybe wait till Thursday to do it. I think that's it for that. And then finally, congratulations to everyone that's graduating at FSU. Good job. Thanks for making Frostburg your home. That's all I have. Anybody else? Last chance? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. My stack of books just.
Let me write the titles down.
Okay, I don't know what it looks like.